Alright, yo. Doing something a little different today. Chassis malfunction. Just gonna be talking through what I'm doing, when I'm driving, what I'm thinking. Somebody asked, I can check who it was. I don't want to be rude. Shout out to Waddy's World. He just asked if I could do a tutorial vid. So we're doing a tutorial vid. So before I start driving, basically the most important thing is how much power your car is making and what tires you're on. This thing makes more than enough power to skid on any tires pretty much. But if you're on real sticky tires like 200 tread wear or below tires, you're just going to need to hit the gas way harder and agitate the car a little bit more, like trying to add more angle. A lot of this stuff is just trial and error too. Like, it's really hard to think about it. Like, even if you understand what you need to do, a lot of the times you just need to do it to get it right. Because it's real hard when you're like on track. Also, I wouldn't recommend that you do this on the road, but that's what we're gonna do today. But it's real hard when you're like even on track and you're like finally up after you've been waiting. So you've been waiting whatever 20 minutes for your lap or whatever, and then there's kind of that pressure. So yeah, just get after it. So I kind of count the gears in my head because my fucking cluster doesn't work. So we're in second gear right now. Generally, if I'm going from a stop, I'm going to start in first gear. If I'm able to kind of roll through a corner, I can do it in second. That's where tires come into play too, like on the old tires. On the 200 treadwear tires, it's real hard to fucking... So we're in first. So I'm basically just hitting the gas, not all the way down, but a good amount in first, just to lose traction. As soon as I lose traction, I'll shift up to second, just because first gear isn't that long. So if I don't shift up, I'll just be banging off the limiter. It's generally easier to stay in one gear, just because it can kind of shift the way it feels. When you're shifting mid-drift, just because you're changing the wheel speed, so I can kind of throw you off a little bit. So fourth, third, second. If there's nobody here, I can kind of roll through the stop sign. And that leaves me enough speed. Even then, like, it's a little bit hard to drift through that corner when I just stay in second, just because it's a tight turn, so I don't have as much like angle to stay turning, if that makes sense. Yeah, I would like to fix my cluster, but I think it's going to be an expensive fix, just because I think you have to have it like coded by a BMW fucking dealership, and anything with a dealership is going to cost you a fortune. Yeah, like, even I kind of forget this occasionally, especially when I'm like stressed out, is like, so I go fourth, third, second, make sure there's nobody there. Also, depends on like how much of a drift you're doing. I'll do a little U-turn, drift right here. Third, second. Like a U-turn like that, well, not even really in that scenario, because we didn't really drift, like do a whole circle. But if you're doing a whole circle, I'm not going to drift through this one just so I can talk. If you know you're doing a whole circle, it's usually easier to just keep one hand on the wheel noises on this thing is awesome. It's usually easier to keep one hand on the wheel just so you're not fumbling around. Like, you never want to cross your hands because then you're just going to fuck yourself over. But when you know you're just doing like a small skid, it's always preferable to have two hands on the wheel unless it's going to get in your way, basically. I feel like I was about to say something after that other drift too, but I forgot. It's like crazy windy out. You can feel it pushing your car around. We'll drift through this corner. Fourth. Third. Second. That was what I was going to say. I forget this sometimes myself. It's like 90% with your throttle control. Like, it's like 90% with your feet. Like, if you're like, obviously I haven't messed with the angle or caster on this thing, but like, assuming your steering setup is good, you could literally, if you like set yourself right through the corner, you literally wouldn't even need to touch the steering wheel. Like, it's so much with your feet. And that's where like all your obviously all your traction is coming from. But this is something that I kind of didn't understand when I first started like drifting on track. Is and also, mind you, I'm not a fucking professional. I'm not, a professional. But I keep losing my train of thought. No caffeine today, so I'm a little fucking just brain dead. But the feds watching. Oh yeah, that's what I didn't understand when I first started drifting, is like, just because you're sliding doesn't mean you don't have traction. So it's like the less throttle you give. Oh, this person probably doesn't know I'm making a U-turn. Yeah, I'm not gonna drift through this. Maybe I will. Falling out of my pocket. Basically, like, a lot of this stuff is really hard to explain. Like, when you're on the edge of traction and on the edge of braking traction, the more throttle you give it, the higher your wheel speed is, the less traction you're going to have, most likely. All of this depends on your tires, but like on most tires, it's going to be easier to drift through a corner if you're just giving it just enough traction or just enough power to barely break traction than if you're just fucking hammering the throttle. And that's why if you just listen to one of my clips where I'm doing like a circle drift, you'll hear me. I'm literally just like feathering the throttle over and over. And like 99% of the time when I fuck up a drift, it's because I'm trying to like steer too much when I should just be focusing on what my feet are doing. But yeah, got literal tumbleweeds. Is the most Arizona thing ever. It's fucking tumbleweeds going down the road and shit. But yeah, I don't know. It's pretty simple. You just gotta fucking do it. Like I said, you can understand it as well as you want mentally, and that'll definitely help, but just doing it over and over is going to make you better at it. And also, I feel like this is kind of a random thing, but I feel like I drift better when I'm like in a calm state of mind, and I'm like in a state of mind where I want to have fun, if that makes sense. Like, if I'm like real serious and fucking stressed out, like, I'm just not gonna drift as well. So like that right there is why it's kind of easier to drift on looser tires, just because it'll drift easier, so you don't have to give it as much throttle. It's definitely a little scarier. Bro, those fucking anti-turn signals. definitely scarier on stickier tires, in my opinion. It's like less scary because you have more control over the car, but it is more scary because you have to give it so much throttle to get it to drift. So you're like, when you're drifting through a corner, you have so much speed. So I don't know. I kind of like being in the middle of stickiness with this car. Like, I want them to be sticky enough so it's not just fucking loose and feels messy, but you don't want it to be so hooked up that it's like you have to push the car so fucking hard just to get it to drift. But that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I will catch you guys in the next video. I'm probably going to make another one tonight because I don't know if I can use this for shorts because it's just me talking, but yeah, catch you guys later.